So lastly, we're just going to hand over to Danielle Lovell Jones. Hi, Danielle. Danielle works for Altruist Partners, and your organisation, I know, provides a whole heap of advice to organisations, from financial strategy through to comms and messaging and other things as well. So it would be great to hear a bit about your experience as a mentor.
Awesome. Thank you all so much for this opportunity. As the last person of the three, so much has already resonated. So I just want to highlight, though, that from Isabel speaking, I am similarly, I enjoy making things simpler. So that was one of the primary reasons of getting involved. How do we get organizations that unfortunately can find these concepts very complicated, understanding it in a way that is feasible for them and in a fashion where they can execute it most efficiently, so that I can just double on that. And then again, with Mark being connector of dots, that's similar. Again, that's my go-to place of that's my happy place. So how do I get people connected so that they're doing this in very important work, regardless of their particular area of expertise? How do they connect to the right people to be more efficient about it? So that's a personal passion, both of those things. So that was why I got involved. And additionally, understanding the UK market, I think as an American coming into the UK, I think it's always important to speak to the parties that you'd be supporting and understand them as intimately as possible without making assumptions. So that was another, I guess, when I think of the mutual benefit for me, being able to have more conversations that were outside of the traditional contractual relationship, where I could have very transparent conversations with people that were doing the work and were potentially in the market of our client pool. So being transparent, that was a value added for me. So thank you all for that. As far as what was offered, I was very, very fortunate with an amazing organization, an amazing leader, and they were doing such important work. So as far as what I was providing, when I came into it, I was prepared to do whatever it took to help them in this very limited 8-hour period, but found that I was a primary sounding board. And I was not shocked by that, but I didn't realize how important that was, because I'm so used to telling people what to do, listening first, but telling them the right direction, right? And here I was saying, okay, I'm just here to listen, and realizing how amazingly valuable that can be to the organizations that you're mentoring. And this was not a small entity, not huge, but definitely not in the starting phase. So I thought that was amazingly telling. And then serendipitously, they were looking to expand into the US market. So we could have conversations about what that looked like, what was realistic, and what timing would work for them. So they were constantly asking the question of, were they ready for investment? And ultimately they were, and they are. But their challenge was that they were stretched in so many directions. And how were they, as this a growing yet limited in human resource organization, how are they going to reach those goals, and whether or not investment would stretch them even further than they were able to at the moment. So again, I was just a huge sounding board, and just had to have those really serious conversations of saying, actually, no, you need to just stop, and what's your mission, and what's your goal, and where are you going, and essentially being the party that's pulling them back to their center. So that was a lot of fun, and I cannot lie and say that it wasn't. With no ulterior motives, it's great to kind of pull people back to their core and encourage them to stay focused on what they're trying to do, to see if they're ready for what they're trying to do next. So that was huge. As far as the mentees' journey is concerned, as I said, they were well thought out, but stretched. So a lot of their directional conversation was, were they structured appropriately for the future? How are they going to go through that? How are they going to have those conversations? And again, ultimately, the conversation ended in that they need to reinvest in their focus, reinvest in how they're achieving their primary goal, getting them back to their center. So I'd say, just again, because so much was shared through Isabel and Mark, for me, that was essentially what my mentee kind of went through, was just getting them to the point where I was their sounding board in there. And I guess the other thing that I realized is that I was the person they could go back to their board and say, well, I spoke to Danielle. I was almost like the bad guy, which was fine. I'm used to that position, actually. But they were able to say, I'm talking to my mentor, and she's giving me these thoughts and this feedback, a lot of which, as Isabel said, was already invested in. They already knew what was right, but at least they had someone else to go back to that was outside. And they could go to parties within their organization and suggest that maybe what they were saying wasn't crazy. Maybe what they were saying wasn't so far-fetched, and they could have a bit more of a support team and a cushion. So I believe in safe spaces. And I think what mentoring does for these organizations is give them a safe space to be their honest, vulnerable self. And while it sounds very fluffy, I think it's very important for people to feel safe. So that's what I believe I provided. And I think that was the greatest value add for the organization.
Great, thank you, Danielle. That's fabulous. In every way, I think, and I think it really again echoes and shows the kind of unique place that mentoring has in this space, in between some of the events that people might go to and going on to perhaps take professional advice at a later stage. And the points you've made about really trying to make this space simple for organisations, I think is really well made as well.